Clement of Rome, Letter to the Corinthians Alpha, Episode 4. Tiskar parepidemesos prosumos tein panaraton kai bebaion humon pistin uk edokimasen tein te sophrona kai epieke en Christo eusebeon uk ethalmasen. In the previous portion, as Clement addresses the Corinthians, he says how their name, which was ta semnon, respected, throughout the world, is now being held in ill repute. For who, he says, tisgar, par epidemesos, this is a participle, it's an aorist active participle, and it is in the masculine singular and nominative. You can see in it para, then epi, and deme, which means to dwell among. For who, living among you, or dwelling, pros humas, with you, or among you, humas is masculine, plural, accusative, as the direct object of this preposition, pros. And again, this participle, parepidemesos, is from the verb par, epi, demeo, which means to dwell among, or to live among, or to sojourn, as the LSJ says. For who, dwelling among you, and the participle modifies tis, the interrogative pronoun, which is in the masculine singular nominative, and as we will see is the subject of edokimasen. For who dwelling in your midst, prosumos, tein panaraton, the all-virtuous and the secure or reliable faith of yours, humon pistin, does not approve, edokimasen. So then, the verb of which tis, modified by par epidemesos, is the subject, is edokimasen. And this verb is the verb dokimazo. Dokimazo means to test, approve, and to find reliable, or to find good. With the augment here, the epsilon, and the sigma, we know we have the third principal part, in other words, the aorist tense. Who has not approved once he dwells among you? And the object of edokimasen is pistin. Pistin is a feminine singular accusative. It's the direct object. It's the feminine noun pistis, which means faith. It's here with the genitive plural, humon, meaning your faith, and it has two adjectives modifying it, panaraton and bebaion. We know that they go with it because we have the definite article tein here with pistin, and this whole thing then forms a unit. Panaraton looks as though it has a masculine ending, but really this is a feminine adjective because only a feminine can modify a feminine noun. Because this is a compound adjective, pas, arete, all virtue, it's an adjective of two endings. And that means that the masculine and feminine are identical and the neuter is separate in form. Compound adjectives of this kind very often do this. That is, they are adjectives of two endings. So, has approved of your all-virtuous faith and your secure faith. Who has not done that? Here's the question mark. Then Clement asks another question. And, he says, tein sophrona, your wise, and also reasonable or appropriate righteousness, eusebeon, the righteousness in Christ, appropriate in Christ, who has not been amazed at it, uk ethalmasen. So with this verb ethalmasen, we have to understand tis again as the subject. Notice it's punctuated with a question mark. It's another question. Who has not marveled at, uk ethalmasen, the wise, sophrona, and reasonable righteousness of yours that exists in Christ? And eusebia can also mean reverence, respect for the gods. The Latin pietas would be a good translation of this noun. Finally, ethalmasen. This is the aorist of the verb thalmazo, which means to stand in awe at, to be surprised at. Just like with edokimasen, we see the augment and the sigma, which tells us it's the third principal part and thus aorist. This is a picture of a bust of the Emperor Trajan, who ruled from 98 to 117 AD. It was under Trajan, supposedly, that Clement was exiled.